All right, welcome into Clips and Dip, your favorite Los Angeles Clippers podcast. I am William Updike, joined as always by Charles Mockler and Adam Oslin. Today, we're going to be talking about Kawhi Leonard and just how we're feeling after 3 games of no Kawhi, our concern level about the injury. We'll also look ahead to a couple of games on the Clippers schedule. We got the Grizzlies and the Heat coming up. We'll preview those games, and then we'll talk about some New Year's resolutions for the Clippers before we get on out of here. But before we get started, Adam, Chuck, how's it going?
I'm doing good, I guess, except that my thumbs up display seems to be gone. For those of you watching on YouTube, youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast, let us know if you're as disappointed about that being gone as I am. No, but I'm doing pretty good. We had an okay holiday over here, just pretty low key. Clippers almost blew it, but got it done against the Hornets. That was fun to talk with Adam about yesterday on the radio, but I'm doing pretty good, I think.
Adam, how are you?
Good to see you guys. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and thanks to all the new listeners and viewers here on the YouTube channel at Clippers Podcast. I'm good. Clippers came through late last night. It was good to do a little Clips and Double Dip with Chuck post game, but looking forward to well, it's just good to see 2 days off between the next 2 ball games before they have 9 in the next 16. So important time to get some rest, especially with the status of Kawhi Leonard, which is day to day still.
Yeah, that's kind of like the first thing we wanted to talk about. It's the left hip contusion, which I've watched the replay a couple of times. Seems like it hurts a lot when it happened to him. He's got the dreaded day-to-day level. What's our level of concern, label? What's our level of concern with this? Will, where are you at now that it's been 3 games?
Given how close together the games were, I still feel like I'm at a low to moderate concern level. We'll see what happens. Like with, as Adam mentioned, the days off before the Clippers play again. I think that's going to be the time to start to maybe amp up the concern level. And it's
ramp that concern level on up real gradually.
Yeah, and if that label or designation holds true as the hip contusion, I mean, not super troubling, but anything that's going to have either Kawhi, Paul George, or heck, at this point, even James Harden missing any stretch of time, I think has got to raise some concern questions for the Clippers.
Yeah, I'm somewhat concerned, but my guess is, or my hope is, they're being strategic about this. When you're taking on the Charlotte Hornets, you shouldn't need Kawhi Leonard to win that game, and therefore he gets 3 more days off. I'm hoping he's available against the Memphis Grizzlies, who are in fact good and have won 4 in a row, with Ja Morant back, who just hit another game winner. Not going to be easy, especially because Memphis has given them issues over the years, and Kawhi Leonard's their best defender by far, and they are a completely different ball club when he's on the court. I'm sure we'll have more to say about that coming up, but low-level concern for me on Kawhi Leonard with this injury.
Yeah, I think I'm at low level too. I think I'm low level as well. I'm disappointed he didn't play against the Charlotte Hornets. I think disappointed and concerned can be 2 different things here for sure. I'll take low level. But and it's an Eastern Conference game. Maybe they obviously seemed like maybe they took it a little easy in the beginning of that game and then had to lock it in. Kawhi would have been nice to be there for that, but I'll feel, like Will said, more concerned when we see what happens with this upcoming schedule. The time off is great. This is a good time for this to be happening, I guess, kind of, given the rest that we have and whatnot. So, yeah, we just got to hope that we get a nice update on Friday before the Grizz game.
You think about it, they could have lost both those games to Boston and to OKC, even if Kawhi was available. Those weren't obviously gimmies. The game against Charlotte, that's a game you have to handle your business. I don't care who's available for that one. They had lost 7 straight. They won 7 games on the season, and they gave the Clippers a scare being up by 7 with 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it was nice to see them actually get the victory after that. Because, again, kind of, Will, what you talked about a couple games ago, and it was kind of I think it was the Boston loss, where their body language didn't seem to be super pouty or like quit or anything like that. We saw good body language when things weren't going well against the Hornets, which was nice. How have we felt about the Clips without Kawhi over these 3 games? Harden has been phenomenal in these 3 games without Kawhi. Defense looks a little rough. I think maybe rougher than some of us potentially expected, but I don't know.
Been
Will
bad.
Adam, why don't you redeem James Harden's defense for us?
James has been good.
I mean, he's not there for that when he hits 6 3-pointers like he did. And is it time to start talking about just how efficient he's been so far as a Clipper? The guy's getting 15 on 46% shooting, but 6 of his 10 attempts per game are coming from the outside. He's at 41% from 3. He has the best effective field goal percentage of his career, according to Justin Rousseau. He has the second best true shooting percentage of his career. So he's been awesome with the shooting stroke, and he's starting to blow by guys more often. You saw that against PJ Washington last night with the Charlotte Hornets. He beat him off the dribble multiple times. That stat that he was getting to the basket the most infrequent amount in his career the first couple of weeks as a Clipper, that's gone way up. He's back to about 25% of his attempts coming at the rim. So the burst is coming around. He looks to be in better shape now, and they have needed him. That is the perfect game last night, what we saw without Kawhi Leonard, where I don't know if they win and beat Charlotte without James Harden. He was their best player in that game, especially shooting-wise. But you look at it last season, they needed a Kawhi game winner to win in Charlotte. And that was the game where he said, I'm back. He jumped up in the air, and he and Marcus Morris did like an 80s high five.
I also think I think his efficiency as a passer is something that like that assist to turnover ratio, you know, he's a great passer, but how well he takes care of the ball is one of those things where, like, let's say he doesn't have the scoring outburst that we definitely needed to get over the Hornets in that game. But I think just taking care of the ball, but still being able to set the offense at that high of a level is something you really can't take for granted. And I just don't know that we've had, we not even know that we haven't in this 2-1-3 era had this type of point guard that presents such a threat offensively as a scorer, but is also just so damn good with the ball while opening up the offense. It's something that can like offset some of the turnover proneness of some of our other ball handlers. Paul George.
Since they put Russell Westbrook on the bench, and he's been good there and had a very good game yesterday against Charlotte as well.
Huge, yeah.
But since that last 20 games, they're 4th in fewest amount of turnovers per game at just 11.9. There's no way that happens without James Harden being their number one playmaker and being empowered to be that guy by putting Russ off the bench. They were actually better. They were number one, I think, the first 16 games with that new starting lineup. Obviously, PG's been out some. Now Kawhi's been out some. But 15-5 since they made that change looks pretty good. They've still won 10 of their last 12 games now. And you got to give a ton of credit to what James Harden's been able to do just controlling the offense.
He's been the second best Clipper, I think, pretty firmly this year.
Outside of Kawhi, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
I think Kawhi's one. I think I got to put James Harden too.
Well, the first 3 weeks of the season, I think Paul George, we were all saying, was better than Kawhi Leonard. So he's had a dip recently, but he had almost a month stretch where he was the best player. It's up for debate. You can, split hairs because James Harden has the ball in his hands so much. And he's been better as of late than Paul George, obviously, who's been struggling a little bit since he came back.
Which is
25
weird.
Points on 25 shots last night.
If you look at his per 36 over these last 3 games, they're pretty similar to his usual per 36. Like he's shooting crazy from deep. Paul George, like he's still shooting like
that's true
48% or something on I think the second most attempts from deep on the team. So it's the other side of the ball that's really low. And you obviously want to see his per 36 go up with Kawhi out, just so he's taking more of the lion's share of shots and whatnot. But it's the other side of the ball that's Kawhi really helps everyone on the floor with defense, but PG hasn't seemed as locked in. Or someone posted like he's been doing kind of these like surprise double teams and stuff on guys, and other guys are like, what are we doing here?
He double teamed Al Horford against the Celtics, and Ivica Zubac looked at him afterwards.
What are we doing
like,
here?
I got him. I'm okay.
I got Al.
It ended up with a 3-pointer, a wide open one from, I think, Derek White.
Yeah, so it's stuff like
Bizarre.
that where it's kind of like just things like that where you're kind of like, I wish that stuff was a little bit better. But I think you are right to the point. It's recently, thankfully, Harden has been the second best guy with Kawhi out. Well, best guy with Kawhi out, but healthy, yeah.
The defensive numbers have been concerning without Kawhi. I was listening to our boss, Lucas Hahn, earlier on the Lob the Jam. He was on with, who was it, Justin Wilson?
Yeah.
Post game last night, and pointed out that with Kawhi on the floor, their defensive rating is about 108, which is just right behind the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have the best defensive rating team-wise in the league. Without him, they're worse than the Washington Wizards. Now, it's only been 3 games. They played 2 teams that offensively are very good, and they ended up basically blowing out the Clippers. OKC game wasn't that close either, but Boston playing the way they did, knocking down 25 3-pointers, winning by 37. It's going to skew the numbers. I don't think they're that bad. I don't think they're the worst defense in the league without Kawhi, but it does tell you just how good he was holding things down on that end, or how effectively he was. And we talked about it a little bit last night, Chuck, but I think it's more than just his play. It's the way he's been vocal out there, because when you were watching that stretch when they won 9 straight, he was demanding. He was making sure everybody was fully focused out there. And I think they're missing that leadership or just accountability level where, if you miss your defensive assignment, you're going to hear about it from Kawhi Leonard, and you can't say a damn thing to him.
The confidence.
All right. I don't know about confidence. Yeah, you're not checking Kawhi if he's telling you to exert more effort on the defensive end. Yeah, the defense. Yeah, I think the rating is like 126 or something like that. It's like really rough over these the last 3. But
I got checked by Brian Seaman last night, and I'll take that. #humility season.
That's fair. What did he check me on?
I was pointing out pregame how going into last night's game, over the Clippers' last 14, they were 24th defensively. But if you just took out the game against OKC and the game against Boston, they were like 7th. So if you took those since November 17th, since the new starting lineup, if you just took out those 2 games, they were 7th, and they dropped to 24th, just how bad they were defensively in 2 games. So you can't put as much into it. In fact, I was looking at some of the numbers earlier. Since November 17th through today, their offensive rating is 8th. Their defensive rating is 11th. So that's where they're at in that 15-5 stretch over the last 20 games. It's not terrible. They were better, but there has been slippage on that end. But a lot of it was just coming out of those 2 games where they got blown out.
Yeah, that's a good call.
And there was also some wonky stuff where fourth quarters, when they blew out the Pacers, when they blew out the Knicks, and then they gave up 35 in fourth quarters where both teams had already waved the white flag. So I don't want to say it's too concerning or overly concerning right now defensively with this team, but Kawhi does make a huge difference, obviously.
Will, when do you want Kawhi to return, or is this yet another, with Kawhi specifically, that a lot of people have where I don't care as long as he's just fully healthy?
Yeah, I think it's definitely that. I think it's definitely the latter. I mean, ideally, he's back for this next slate of games, and we get a Kawhi game before the new year. But if that's not where he's at, I'm fine with an abundance of caution. You just hate to see. I mean, like, even bigger than like the long-term concerns, or not bigger, but certainly more front of my mind right now, is just the heat, that absolute heater that he was on, the type of rhythm that he was in. You hate to see that come grinding to a halt. And not to say that he's not still at practice and still training, but it's little setbacks like that where you have to keep trying to catch up to things that I think can set you back a little bit more than you think. Maybe even more than the injury is trying to get is just trying to get back to that level where you were.
Yeah, we see it where guys come back and they want to hit it 110%, and your body's just not James Harden needed to recover to get back into some playing shape. Kawhi's going to have to recover and get back into a little bit of playing shape.
And there's just ripples, right? Because
Yeah.
when you're back on the court with Kawhi, you're playing with Kawhi from 2 weeks ago in your head, and he's not at that. He's probably not going to be at that same efficiency and at that same level. So there's ripple effects really for the entire roster to readjust to this as someone ramps back up.
And he was so automatic in such a great groove. Last 11 games, 62% from the field, 52% from three. I don't expect him to just hit the ground running, but you never know with Kawhi. It may not take that long. Defensively, it was where they've really been hurting, though. Last 15 games, 22nd defensively now. But again, you take out those bad 2 games, and it's a totally different story. But they have a tough stretch coming up after this homestand where they have 2 days off before Memphis, 2 more days before Miami on Monday. Then it's Phoenix, New Orleans, the Lakers, Phoenix, Toronto, Memphis, at Minnesota, Oklahoma City. So I'm hoping that's when I go back to saying it's strategic with what they're doing with Kawhi Leonard right now.
Right.
You shouldn't need him against Charlotte. That gets him 3 more days off. We'll see how he feels against Memphis, but there are some really tough games coming up, and you just want him back at 100%.
Yeah.
Now, regardless of where he's going to be rhythm timing wise, you just want him feeling like he's fully able to perform at the highest level like he was right before the injury.
Yeah, that's a good call. And it's going to be Amir Coffey's been, for the most part, okay to pretty good in the starting role. Obviously not taking Kawhi's spot in terms of what he does really on the court. The last couple games, he's been a little invisible. Terance Mann and him haven't been able to really, totally coalesce together. So again, back to the Harden thing. If Amir isn't able to really put an imprint on the game, which is hard to do for him, I'm not saying this is something we should expect Amir Coffey to do now that he's starting in place of Kawhi Leonard over these last 3 games. But I hope his level of play gets raised up a little bit to where it was, kind of when he first started taking Kawhi's place.
I agree. I do think that overall, though, it does kind of
tough spot to be in.
It's a tough spot to be in, and it does kind of lay bare sort of the thinness of this Clippers roster, and certainly the loss of versatility without so many wings. I'm not saying that Rocco or Batum would certainly be better, but I'm saying that they probably would be.
I think that's fair. Not by a crazy margin, but I think, probably a little bit.
Something we saw last night a lot, we've been seeing a little bit more recently, is more Russ next to James Harden. And it has been more effective. It looked like they were trying to lean into offense, especially down the stretch. They're down by 7. To start that fourth quarter, it was the Charlotte Hornets going on an 11-2 run. Yeah. The Clippers answered it with a 19-2 run, and they closed the game on a 29-13 run to win by 9 when they were down by 7. So a 16-point turnaround there, not to get too messy with the numbers, but it was an impressive flip the switch type of moment for them when it was a gut check. Hey, you're down 7 all of a sudden when you've been leading the entire game, and they immediately came out, knocked down some big shots. Russ, James Harden both hit 3-pointers. Norman Powell out of the timeout would hit a 3-pointer.
Thankfully,
and then Paul George, he's been struggling the last couple of games, actually. Norman Powell a little bit. But Paul George with the dagger 3 to put them up by 11. But it looks like they know, okay, defensively, we're not going to be the same. So if we have to put Russ next to Norm, next to James Harden to close out a game just to get the offense going, that is something they can throw out there. And like I said, the James Harden, Russell Westbrook minutes have been much better. But again, smaller sample size right now. And I'm not sure long-term how effective that can be.
Right.
They need it right now. They need something. They need a little bit more scoring. And Russ, I thought, had one of his better games as a Clipper yesterday, especially with the energy in that fourth quarter. He had the big block, a big rebound, the pass to Ivica Zubac's down low. the pass to Paul George to hit that three to put him up 11, and then he turned down that 3-pointer after knocking one down and went to the basket and split the defense. That was a really awesome acrobatic layup, kind of a vintage Russell Westbrook type of play there in that fourth quarter.
Yeah, we needed him to step up, and he did in a great way. Going to be interesting to see what happens in this Clippers-Grizzlies kind of Clippers-Heat situation going on. We're going to preview that in just a couple seconds. The ads have been loud for some people. If that's been the case for you, go ahead and turn that down. We're talking Clippers, Grizzlies, and Clippers Heat coming up in 3, 2, 1. And we are back here on Clips and Dip. Thank you for joining us. If you're joining us on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you're listening, thank you very much. If you're watching us on youtube.com/@ClippersPodcast, thanks for tuning in. The Clippers are playing the Grizzlies on Friday and then the Heat on Monday. Kind of some nice breaks in there. We're playing a surging Grizzlies team that's going to be on their second night of a back-to-back after they play the Nuggets, which I feel pretty good about that. I'm excited about that. But Adam, you talked a little bit about it. Ja Morant is back, and the Grizzlies look like a completely different team. Couple of buzzer beaters. They've won 4 in a row. Not exactly blowing teams out. I was looking at some of the stats. They're +5 over this 4-game winning streak, which they're getting it done, but they're not exactly wiping teams off the face of the earth during this stretch. How are we feeling? Kind of a wonky matchup. It's hard to look at the season stats for the Grizzlies now that Ja Morant is back. It's just a completely different team.
He is questionable tomorrow night with an illness. So, yeah, they'll be in Denver. It's the second game of a back-to-back in Los Angeles taking on the Clippers. But I just feel like he's kind of their emotional heart and soul, heart and lungs for this team. He's a lot. A couple of seasons ago.
Yeah, he's the heart. He's the lungs.
Yeah, he's the anatomy of this team. But a couple of seasons ago, remember, they went something like 21-3 without him.
Yeah.
That's out the window, obviously.
Yes.
They haven't been the same team. Yeah. They haven't been able to hold it down without Ja Morant. And it's time for him kind of to return the favor and pick them up and try to get them back into that position where they could be a play-in team. And they might be. We'll see. He's had a couple of game winners, both against the Pelicans. The most recent one last night, I think it was on that lob that he ended up catching to put him up 116-115. But you can just see emotionally, Ja Morant is kind of carrying them right now when they have needed it most. Just a shot in the arm for them, so to speak. What?
Nothing. Yeah, it'll be weird to see. I think he makes everyone better. Last time we played the Grizzlies, they beat us mostly because Bismack Biyombo grabbed a bunch of rebounds, which wasn't very fun. But
that was one of the worst losses of the season for the Clippers, and they didn't foul him late and put him at the line. It was just brutal.
That was when Russ was starting, though, so things are obviously different then. Will, what are you most concerned about with this Grizzlies matchup? I think I'm concerned about kind of the unknown and how different this team's going to look from what we saw.
I mean, that's certainly in pace and physicality, especially early, is just something that's going to continue to give this team trouble.
Yeah, the pace. Yeah, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm curious to see what the Clippers' pace has been over these 3 games.
I mean, it's something the Grizzlies have historically done pretty well, punishing teams on turnovers in transition. And Ja is, the perfect player to help do that. Defensively, obviously, they look a lot different without Steven Adams down low. They're not the team that they were like 2 seasons ago. So, yeah, I mean, it looks a little bit different, but this will definitely be a challenge for the Clippers, and doubly so if it's a Kawhi-less challenge against the Clippers.
No Kawhi makes me nervous for this one with Jaren Jackson and all that. I don't know. Adam, how would you feel if no Kawhi for this one? Obviously not good, but
I think they would still be favored in the game. Yeah. Whatever you put into that. I still think we could get a better performance shooting-wise overall from Paul George, a better defensive performance from him. He didn't have a block or a steal last night. He didn't get to the free throw line. Some of that is just a brutal whistle. I still think he came alive late in the fourth quarter. I want to say he did have.
Thank God, too. Jesus.
Yeah.
I looked up his free throws. Actually, you mentioned that he's averaged 1 free throw over the last 3 games, and that's because he got 3 2 games ago. He's in the midst of yet another streak of not getting free throws. He's had 2 games in a row of no free throws, which is absurd. And this isn't me blaming Paul George. It's usually a refs issue. Thank God we have Harden getting to the line because Paul George.
He mitigates that though. He mitigates that though when he's actually like going to the rim, like with real intentions.
Yeah, sure.
I do feel like and not to say that he necessarily baits players. I know that the NBA that the referee association has their own thoughts on Paul George's game, which is garbage. But I think like him just being more aggressive and getting downhill more you have to make the call at a certain point. You know what I mean? Like if a player of that caliber, and Paul George is of that caliber, is going to the rim and consistently getting too much contact, at some point, yes, he will get a whistle, and it won't be the most friendly whistle. It certainly won't be a Jokic whistle. No shade to Jokic, but he will get the whistle.
I hope he does it against the Grizzlies because they foul a ton. They foul like the 10th most time in the league, and opponents of the Grizzlies shoot like 23 free throws a game. So I hope we get Paul George a couple of those.
Outside of Ja Morant, who worries you most on this Grizzlies team? Who do you think is going to give the Clippers the most trouble?
I mean, Marcus Smart just came back, which is a problem.
Fuck, that's right.
Desmond Bane and Smart had 13 points last night. Bane had 27. He didn't shoot it very well, but they got enough. I just think collectively there's just this emotional lift going on right now where they're riding high because Ja Morant's back and they haven't lost yet. So we'll see what happens against the Denver Nuggets. If they win that game, they might put everything into that one, and they could have some tired legs on the second night of a back-to-back because of it.
Yeah, good luck, Grizzlies. That'd be great.
And again, Ja Morant is questionable, but he's coming off a game where he had 31. He hasn't scored less than 20 points since he's returned. He had 34, 20, 30, 31. So he's been electric. He hasn't got it going at all from distance. He's shooting just 16% behind the line. Not that he's a great shooter from there, but he's not. He's better than 16%. He's a career 32% shooter from the outside. So it's a dangerous team. I mentioned those numbers kind of turning around recently with Russell Westbrook and James Harden on the floor together.
Mm-hmm.
And since November 17th, in 19 games, the Clippers are now shooting 46% from the field with those two out there in almost 200 minutes of play, and they're a plus 11. So it's been better. Steadily, it's been getting a little bit better where they're finding some lineups that work with those two. And a lot of it's, I think, been with Daniel Tice out there next to them, so it's not a beats Zubats. But down the stretch last night, it was Big Zoo with them. And I thought it beats Zubats. He had 9 of his 18 points in that fourth quarter. He was awesome late. He was probably the best player down the stretch overall because he was just a force at the rim. He was getting there relentlessly, and then they had to foul, and he knocked down 3 of his 4 free throws against Charlotte. So Big Zoo played big down the stretch.
And we need him to start playing. We need him to start the game big against Bismack. They don't forget what Bismack looked like against Zoo the last time we played. It was weird how effective he was. So we need Zoo to assert himself. That's what I'm looking for. We need Zoo to assert himself physically immediately in this game. When he gets that first, if he's not going to pass it out of the short roll and he makes a good decision, just go as hard as you possibly can to the rim and let him know that it's not going to be easy.
I also think they went small down the stretch when Memphis beat them in the last 5 minutes of that one.
Oh,
I can see that. Recently, the Clippers have been keeping Ivica Zubac on the floor during clutch time, where they've been awesome in the past couple of weeks. I'm not sure, did last night's game get to clutch time because the Clippers were so damn good at the very end where they went on that 19-2 run. It may not have gotten to the last 5 minutes of a game within 5 points. But overall there, I want to say if you just go back the last, let's go back 15 games here. Clippers in clutch time during that stretch, 6-2 in 8 opportunities in clutch time, where they've been shooting 52% from the field, just 18% from the outside, but 52% from the field last 8 games.
Is that good?
during clutch time. It's a nice turnaround considering how bad they were to start off the season there. They're figuring some things out.
Who's your player of the game pick for the game against the Grizzlies, Adam?
I want to take Terance Mann. Now,
yeah, man.
They need him against John Morant. He's likely going to be on him to start. He's their point of attack defender. Guys, it's been so rough for him on offense. 1 of 4 against the Charlotte Hornets. The bucket he got was right at the rim, and it still looked like he was a little bit hesitant. He had to pump fake a few times, and just seeing the ball go through, I'm sure it helped, but then he knocked down 2 free throws. But early on in the game in the first quarter, his first shot, he hesitated. It was a little 8-footer, and then he put it up and missed it, and it was just short. And I said this last night to Chuck, but it looks like he's not shooting, he's throwing. Like he's just hoping that shots will fall for him right now. He's so out of rhythm, and just you can see the confidence has to be at an all-time low right now. It's just been so tough for Terance Mann. I want to see him turn it around. But Coach Lue gave him a vote of confidence pregame. He said he had talked to him earlier in the day, basically saying you can't let your shooting or lack of shooting right now affect the rest of your game. And I thought it did against Boston. Like defensively, he wasn't as sharp, but he was better defensively against Miles Bridges and Terry Rozier, I thought, yesterday against Charlotte. But I'm going to pick Terance Mann. I want to see him just get into double digits scoring wise, just see a couple of 3-pointers fall, because it's been getting worse. And it's understandable. Like the more shots you miss, the more that weight is on your shoulders of finally
the more you're thinking about it, which is always a problem for Terance.
Yeah, it's got to be the worst stretch though of his career by far, shooting wise. He looks completely lost at times out there, and it's kind of shocking to see. Now, luckily, it hasn't affected them too much offensively because they have so much firepower out there, and I'm hoping they stay with him. I'm hoping they don't pull him from the starting lineup, because I don't know if that's going to help his confidence either. And he can just work his way out of this, because they're still winning ball games overall, 10-2 in their last 12, even with Terance going through this rough stretch, or this rough patch. I just want to see him come out of it. It would be great. Remember when Reggie Jackson a couple of years ago got off to, it was the 21-22 season, you knew Kawhi Leonard was going to be out. He got off to that brutal start and then hit a game winner, I think against OKC, and then caught a hot streak. Like it happens to guys like that. If Terance could just see one fall in a big moment or have a big dunk, just something to feel good about himself offensively, that may be all it takes.
All right. Terance Mann against the Grizzlies is Adam's pick. Will, who's your pick?
I'm going to go Norm Powell. I want to see Norm have a big game.
Bounce back Norm. I love that pick. That's a good call. I'm going. Damn. Yeah, Norm was 2 of 7 last game. I knew it was bad, but
5 in the fourth though.
Sucked.
He sucked. I'm gonna go. Russ was good. I feel like this is almost player of the game has almost become like who's going to redeem themselves of the game.
We're all about narratives and emotions here.
I'm going Paul George. I know he had 25, 4 and 4, but it was not the most efficient game.
Slow start too.
Slow start on both sides of the ball. I'm going Paul George. He's going to be feeling a little better. He's going to have the Christmas illness away from his body. He's quarantined it. He's going to be in tip-top shape. He's thinking about that new car he's going to buy on New Year's Day before we play the Heat. Paul George.
New Year's Day sales, boys.
Yeah, all right. And then on to the New Year's Day game against the Heat. New Year's Day night, Monday night, New Year's Day, the Clippers play the Miami Heat. Inconsistencies in their lineup. Jimmy Butler, day-to-day with a calf thing. How are we feeling about this one? This is kind of a wonky one. The Heat are weird.
They've won 4 or 5. They've had some good victories in there. They just beat the 76ers. They beat the Hawks. They beat the Magic. That's a good win now.
Yeah.
They lost to the Timberwolves by 4. I don't know. Let me see if Jimmy Butler even played that game because, he was held out. You know what? They won that game against Philadelphia, but he and Joel Embiid were both out. So not a true indicator. He was available in that victory or that loss, I should say, by 4 to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Only had 15 points. Kawhi has, I know he owns a lot of guys, but he has had Jimmy Butler's number. I mean, this goes back
Hope
to
he plays.
2019. Yeah, you're hoping he's at least back by Monday, right?
Yeah.
That would be a little bit more concerning if he missed the next 2 days, because right now
It's a
we're
road trip after these two. So if he doesn't miss these, I'm like, I hope he goes on the road trip. Like,
today is what, a week ago he played that game in Dallas. So that was 7 days
yeah.
ago. So tomorrow will be, he hasn't played a game in 7 days. Yeah. This Miami team, Heat culture. I mean, they play hard. I know Big Shot Bob Flom is going to hate me saying that, but they are tough, and they still have other guys who can beat you. Bam Adebayo's having a great season so far. He's been pretty dominant out there. 21, 10 boards, a block per game in his last 10. So this is a team that you can't take lightly, obviously, in the Miami Heat, no matter who is playing, because they do have those guys that seem to step up. But we'll see. I'm trying to see how many games do they play in between now and getting to the Clippers on Monday. Will they also be on a back-to-back?
I looked it up. I don't think they are.
Do they have the Lakers beforehand?
They go Heat. They're in Utah on the 30th. And then they come to LA for us on the 1st, and they play the Lakers on the 3rd.
So a day off in between after taking on the Utah Jazz. So they'll have played 2 games before they take on the Clippers.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. We'll be monitoring that injury report, obviously.
Yeah, the Heat are odd. They're the number 1 team in 3-point percentage. Heroes shooting 43% on 8 a game, which is pretty crazy. But they take like the league average. It was like a couple years ago when the Clippers were the number 1 3-point shooting team. They had like 4 guys over 39 or whatever that crazy stat was. But
that was the top 5 all-time 3-point shooting team in the 2020 or 2021 season. Yeah,
and they take like a league average, like they take like the 12th most. So that'll be, and they're a horrific rebounding team. They're 27th in offensive rebounds and 24th in defensive rebounds. So
that's interesting.
Let's hope we don't punish them there. I did notice a weird part in their stats though. So in defensive rebounds, they're 24th in the league, but they're 2nd in the league in defensive rebounding percentage. So any rebounds that are available to them, they really know they're going to get them. It seems like they just don't go for 50-50 balls or something like that. Like there's just some – I've never seen a team ranked so low in total rebounds but so high in rebounding percentage for that stat. It's very wonky. But yeah, I don't know. Jaime's killing it. The pride of Irvine. He's in
30.
Yeah. Who do you want to see on Hawkes?
I mean, shit. This sounds weird, but like, would Russ be such an annoying defender against him?
Nope, not enough. Too small. Come on, man. Be real. Be real.
Is he starting for them?
Be serious.
Is he starting for them?
He did last game with Jimmy out.
Okay, so we don't know if he's not starting. That's a weird one. If he's not starting, I guess I would say, man, I don't know who on our bench I would want him to guard. Like Amir?
It's an interesting problem.
I don't know, man.
I don't want to tempt fate, but I'm not that worried about Jaime Hawkes. I mean, he might get 15 or 20, but I just went for his young career high of 31.
So bench, I guess Kobe Brown, he's huge.
Hey, Kobe was so good in that second quarter defensively against Charlotte. That's your guy, Chuck.
Norm, right? Like Norm's not going to guard Jaime. That's not going to go well.
I mean, we know there'll be staggering lineups, and we're hoping Kawhi's back, and that means Amir's coming off the bench, so it could be Amir on him. We'll see how that works out. If your entire game plan is about stopping Jaime Hawkes, what are we doing?
They brought Will in special to consult this game. That's all they've been drilling these last week is how to stop Jaime. Keep this receipt. All right, Will, player of the game for the Clippers for the game against the Heat.
I really want to see. I really want to see James Harden. I just feel like the Heat. The Heat are the antithesis of James Harden to me. Just in terms of,
Yeah.
of a culture and a vibe. I'm sure that he loves Miami, loves the Miami area. I'm sure they would love to have James Harden and get them into their cult program, whatever they want to call it. But I would like to see James Harden absolutely
It's not Waco.
decimate this team. Is it?
That's rad.
Are we sure?
Is it not?
That brings up.
I love that argument so much. He is the antithesis of Heat culture.
This has been on my mind.
System versus culture, baby.
Wait, when are we going to talk more about the Clippers culture, considering how Westbrook has looked in a Clippers jersey, now how James Harden has looked in a Clippers jersey? When is their culture going to get more love? Over the years, they've had reclamation projects. They've had guys. I mean, yeah, it's a party with the Clippers.
I don't know what the balloons were. No, I think we gotta. Until after the season. I think after this, how this season ends, we can talk about it.
I don't think it has to be the end of the season. I think it's just going to depend on how they carry themselves into the All-Star break and what this team looks like. Look, man, I'm high on this team. I think that we've seen the best offense of the 2-1-3 era. We know where these guys can be defensively when locked in. Very good team. Feel very good about it. As far as like a permeating culture, I just don't know that they're there yet. But that's not to say that they can't be there.
How they handle March, that'll tell us all we need to know about the Clippers culture.
I'm just thinking back to Reggie Jackson was almost out of the league. Nicholas Batum was almost out of the league. They have had a lot of success, and those weren't former stars or anything like Russell Westbrook and James Harden being number one options on teams. But now you're seeing, okay, the Lakers couldn't figure it out with Russell Westbrook. Philadelphia couldn't figure it out with James Harden. If the Clippers are able to do that with both of them, I know it's still early in the season. I think they're almost 40% of the way through, but it says something to this point that you go through a 6-game losing streak. The team doesn't fold. They don't point fingers. They fight their way out of it. They won 15 of 20. Guys are sacrificing.
They're newly birthed. They're tiny fetuses. We're cradling them. Adam's cutting the umbilical cord. Every night,
top 5, every major category.
I don't know. I think it deserves a little bit of recognition, even though it's still early.
I think the front office, I think that's a great call. I think, yes, this has worked. This has shown that the front office has figured out, for the most part, who to take a shot on to reclamate their career. John Wall was not a correct call, but they've had more right calls than not. In that, Will, if you're watching on YouTube, is against the Clippers culture somehow.
No, that's me. I have bad culture. I'm uncultured.
Will is doo-doo culture. Okay, so where are we at on player of the game for this Heat game? We got Harden because it's the system versus the culture. Adam?
I'm going to go bold here. Kawhi Leonard.
Whoa!
I'm saying Kawhi is going to be available in that game. Well, we don't even know if he's going to be available yet.
I'm agreeing with you. This is wild. I love it. I love this take.
Whoa!
Kawhi's available.
Caught me off guard, that's all.
He drops 30. He pumps Jimmy Butler
over here
again.
Okay.
And the Clippers come through with a victory before they head out on the road.
Damn, I love this.
I love it. I'm hyped up on that. I'm going to go...
Receipts culture's unmatched, boys.
It's not. It's very much matched. That's. I'm going Amir, right? Flying in the face of Adam's take. If Kawhi can't go, I think Amir's going to have an efficient 12 and then 6 crucial rebounds.
Wow, we have a high leverage receipts versus receipts player of the game here.
I'm not going to say. I didn't say that Adam was going to be wrong. I'm just.
Sounds like you did. That's exactly.
You want Kawhi to be out?
If Kawhi can't go, I think Amir's going to step up.
Who's your loser of the game?
Well, the Heat.
Jaime.
I'll tell you who's the loser of the game. Anyone who doesn't buy a car on New Year's Day, because you're missing out on some deals, apparently, according to Adam Oslin.
It's common knowledge, guys. I don't know why you're trying to.
Is it common knowledge?
Reach and make fun of this.
I'm not trying to reach.
Isn't that not when Toyotathon is, or Lexus sales of the season, or
Lexus
Honda days?
Jeep-thon.
Jeez, what do you work for, Kelly Blue Book? Will over here.
I wish I worked for Kelly Blue Book. I would know when the best sales days are. All right, coming up, we're talking New Year's resolutions for the Clippers. and then letting you know where you can hear us next. The ads have been loud for some people, so if that's been your case, go ahead and turn it down. We got ads coming up in 3, 2, 1.
Hey, what's up? It's Clips and Dips, Season 2. I'm Adam Oslin. We got Chuck Mockler and Will Updike still in Montana. It's good to be with you guys. At Clippers Pod on X is where you can find us. At Clippers Podcast on YouTube, where you could see my new name tag. Not worried about Jaime. Keep this receipt. Let me clarify. I'm just not building a game plan around stopping Jaime Jaquez. That's all I'm saying. That's
wow,
all.
already
That's
asterisk season, huh?
Good player, but it's a little bit early. And if you watch some of those runs with Paul George at UCLA, there's a move he
Rico
puts on Jaime
Yeah.
Jaquez that is so nasty. I'm hoping we see it at the NBA level now. But he was the perfect guy for the Miami Heat, and I was always wondering if they'd have to give him up to bring in Damian Lillard. But like Kanye said, I guess we'll never know.
Yes, well, he said a lot. Yeah. So
What else?
What do we want? We're talking New Year's resolutions. We'll probably have an episode out before 2024, but who knows? What do you want to see the Clippers be better at in 2024? Could be basketball related, could be more choreographed celebrations from the bench, could be some rotation stuff. Adam, we know you want to see more Amir Coffee. Will, Adam, where you guys at? What do you want to see the Clippers maybe change for the better in 2024? Other than marketing.
Because it's perfect. I got my fill of coffee. I'm good there. He's been playing plenty now. It's fine. I want to see Bones Highland be the savior in March for them. When I'm not sure about this, but I believe they have 17 games in the month of March.
You look at that schedule, it really surprised you. I counted it down today.
I want to see Bones have an Amir Coffee-like month for them, where it's memorable, and Bones Highland helps carry them at times when they have tired legs, and he can still make an impact this season. The Skeleton Key, Bones Highland. How about that?
I forgot about how good of a nickname the Skeleton Key is for Bones. That's a good call. Will, what's your Clippers New Year's resolution? Less Bones Highland?
Yeah, I'll go the exact opposite way. No, I was going to say something similar about Bones. Wanting to see more of him.
No, you weren't. Doo-doo culture.
Doo-doo culture is saying I was going to say the exact same thing.
Less PJ Tucker.
Well, hey, I'm not going to argue against. Yeah, sure.
I guess it's 2024 already.
Yeah. Are we going to trade him, or are we waiting for that? What do you guys think?
I don't know. Get his ass out of here, though.
Jeez. I still think if he'll buy in and stop going to the press,
I just don't think he's going to.
I don't think he's buying in, man.
He's getting acclimated in his new role, okay?
He's had to adjust the most.
Yeah, and he's learning that.
For him.
I think he could still give him 5 to 10 minutes in a big game.
There's only one ball quote, basically.
Yeah, but so that was taken a little out of context. That was like,
Chuck.
It was, what?
Tell him.
What? Oh,
no, preach.
No, that was taken out of context because he was just like, there's such ball dot. Like, it wasn't a dig at the Clippers. It was like, there's not enough.
We have great players. We have a lot of great players.
Defender. I'll tell you what, I'm a better PJ defender than PJ is maybe a defender.
Love it.
I knew Adam would hate that one. I think for me, for the Clippers in 2024,
how many boards could you get on PJ Tucker? You think?
None. Absolutely none. I could draw an offensive foul if I let him elbow me in the face trying to get one.
You could definitely draw a charge on PJ Tucker. You could stay in front of that old man, no problem.
I could draw the charge. I couldn't hit the free throws because I would be on the ground. I don't think like.
Oh,
I could draw a
your
charge.
Back is broken in this scenario.
Yeah, my back looks like a zong. That's what it looks like. It's just turned. My resolution for the Clippers, I don't know, man. The year we got that winning streak kind of late in the year, which makes you feel good about the team. The Bones thing is a good call. I know it's doo-doo culture, maybe. Shout out zongs.
What songs?
Zongs are a bong that's shaped like a Z. I don't know what else to say.
Famously,
Am I wrong?
Famously, I believe Michael Phelps got caught hitting one, and it was like a big scandal.
Yeah, I think he
It
was
was
hitting
somehow a
was
bigger
assault,
deal than his DUI, but
which
I
is
don't
way
know.
worse. Let me check. Hold on. New Year's resolution. I hope the Clippers put out a Zong. I would love a Clippers Zong, actually. Oh yeah, Zong is still alive and well.
Oh yeah.
Wow, they make hand pipes, which doesn't make any sense because they're a Z-shaped bong. Anyway, we're off track here.
I'll take a Kong with a C for the Clippers.
Kong. Yeah, I think, Will, you brought up kind of like meaningful, not garbage minutes, but like time for guys lower on the roster where maybe it's more meaningful basketball than,
Totally.
a blowout or something.
Most of that hope, though, is centered around Bones Island.
Yeah, right. That's kind of where I'm at, too, like Bones. And then if people think that PJ Tucker is going to play in the playoffs, he actually is going to have to play at some point. We can't just be like, you've been DNPing all season. Get those legs loose in the round one, Peach. Like,
second oldest player
what about
in the NBA.
It doesn't look like it. What about
yeah, it does.
What about a New Year's resolution involving a move by this Clippers team this season?
Ooh.
In
I was texting
2024?
with Joseph Ryan Ward, who still thinks they're one move away.
That guy hits the zong.
Okay, the thing about Joseph was sending me trade ideas on like Christmas Day, and I was like, I can't think about this right now.
Yeah, he needs to relax.
No trades.
Miles Turner, straight up. That's my New Year's resolution.
No trades. I don't want any trades. I don't know.
Good as is.
I think
perfect.
Okay, I didn't say perfect. I did not say perfect. There's issues with this roster. I don't see a trade right now that jumps out at me that takes something away from the Clippers and adds enough that puts them over the edge. After what we saw during that win streak, which I don't even think was their best basketball. We've talked about it. Terance Mann wasn't very good offensively during that stretch, things like that. Like, I don't know. I think they should maybe stand pat.
Pat Bev?
Do not trade for Pat Bev. No, I don't know. Maybe
no more guards.
Maybe no trade. Maybe no trade.
I'd like to see a margins move, I guess. Like maybe not even a trade, but a signing and a cutting. I'd like another. I just feel like I'd like another wing in there, and not somebody of a starting level caliber, but just a little extra depth is the only trade or like move that I guess I would really like to see right now.
An athletic four could still be helpful for this team, just to have that other dynamic and dimension out there.
Who and for what? That's like I don't think that.
I know people are screaming Jeremy Grant. I don't know if that's going to happen.
No, I mean a caliber smaller than that. That's way too much money. That's just way too much.
Yeah, this is where I get bogged down. Where I'm like, there's these little moves, but I'm like, is it? I don't know. They were so good during that win streak. I don't know.
What's
coming back?
PJ Washington up to? I know we just saw him. What's his contract?
Joseph was talking about trading for PJ Washington. But these are moves where I'm like, is that casual?
After I bring it up,
idiot, bad take,
dumbass.
But we love you, Joseph. But like, is that move gonna make the Clippers now? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if the vibes are good and that move isn't gonna extend us an extra 10% towards more of a favorite or something like that. In my head, I don't see why.
What if there's a Caruso deal out there?
I'd have to see it, but I like kind of where your head's at with that.
I mean,
it's
still we have to ship a guard out too.
Yes.
Who is that guy?
Russell Westbrook would love Chicago.
They're not. There's no way that they're trading. I don't even think they should trade Russ because the locker room would implode. But they can't.
You're replacing him. No, you're replacing him with Caruso. Did you miss this part of the trade? It feels like you weren't listening.
I don't think moving Russ is the idea. I don't think that helps this team.
I'm just saying we need too many guards. Somebody has to go, and Norm Powell for me is too high of an asking price.
Coming into the season, all the talk was, hey, Norman Powell can be that trade chip. Now, Powell Rangers, Norm Core, he's been too damn
Bones
good.
Is probably the trade for that.
And I would hate to see that.
Too much.
I agree. Like, see, this is the impasse, right?
Russ in 2030.
And the pick?
Yeah.
All right.
Chicago's going to ask for it. They're going to get a first for Caruso.
Yeah, they absolutely will. Yeah. Russ and whatever salary filler. 2030.
If the Clippers don't do it, the Lakers are going to.
I'm not worried about the Lakers for the championship. That's fine. They can take Caruso.
I remember hearing this last year. Then they were in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, but go ahead and take a look back at that Western Conference final.
Then
Take a look at it.
They were in every game in the fourth quarter. I mean,
Go ahead and take a look at it.
All right. No more. We can't. Adam has a lot.
I looked. I watched.
Every day. Adam
saw D'Angelo Russell.
How many games did they win in that Western Conference?
They didn't. They lost to the champs, but they were in every fourth quarter.
All right.
And I think their roster's better now. I'm just saying.
They were in every fourth quarter, but somehow lost every single one of the games. Yeah,
they ran out of gas.
Sounds good. That sounds good.
D'Angelo Russell was.
Well, he's been bad. Either way, no trades for the Clippers. I would be okay with that. Plumlee's coming back.
That's bold.
Sure.
I think Plumlee might end up being a.
Kawhi for 2 Kawhis. I would do that. If the Kawhi factory calls us and says we need the original Kawhi back, we'll give you 2. We need to
restructure the Genome Project. Yeah. We'll give you 2 Kawhis.
We'll give you 2. It's like multiplicity. They're a little worse. They're a little bit worse. All right.
They're not worse on the court. They're just weird. They're just a little off.
Yeah, they're just weirdos. They get those
one's a chatty Kathy.
Yeah. One of them just only eats the cheese from those crackers and cheese packages. That's all that he functions on. Let us know your Clippers New Year's resolutions. You can comment on this video at Clippers Podcast. You can tweet at us at Clippers Pod. What you want to see from the Clippers in 2024.
Unless you were someone that never wanted James Harden. Then I don't know if we can take that.
Hey, whatever. You can say whatever you want for the most part, I guess. We're gonna have some double dip.
Unhinged. I want to see more wins, but more unhinged drawings from Eric.
Oh, I will say that. I would love for the Clippers to work with Eric. That's my resolution for them in 2024.
The Scary Stories drawing to me is immaculate.
So good. Unreal.
Unbelievable. Because I remember that book so well. Even before he said this is from Scary Stories.
Oh, I knew immediately. Yeah.
Man, shout out Eric Boy. All right, we got some double dips for you after the upcoming games. Need some Apple reviews. We'll read them on the show. Check out our YouTube. Will, where can these people tell their family to listen to us if they want?
So you can check out the audio portion of this podcast anywhere you get podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Deezer. If you left a little review over on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, that would really help us out. If you want the full Clips and Dip experience, you got to check us out over on YouTube. That's at Clippers, youtube.com/@Clippers Podcast. If you'd subscribe, we'd be really grateful, trying to get those numbers up. And you get to see a bunch of goofy stuff. You get to see our faces. You get to see some strange name tags. You get to keep receipts on Adam, which is always fun. You can
it's
also
humility season. Don't do that.
You can also chop it up with us anytime, especially if you want to call out some receipts on Adam. That's over on Twitter at Clippers Pod.
That was fantastic.
That's where you can check us out.
And then, Adam, one positive thing to send these folks out on. Got a couple days before the Clips game. What do you
2 days or 2 games in the next 6 days for the Clippers. That is a break in the schedule a little bit. That's like the all-star break for this team, considering how rough their schedule is. That's big time. And I'm still hopeful that Kawhi Leonard is okay. Didn't he come out and say, I'll be back soon. I'll be back, the Terminator.
He hit him with the I'll be back?
I thought I saw that somewhere.
He was wearing a shirt that said, "What I'm about to say is from the movie Terminator." And then he said, "I'll be back."
Yeah. And then Linda Carter or whatever was doing those weird pull-ups in jail.
Yeah, you got to get. What else do you do in jail, dude?
Other than am I thinking of Superwoman? Who am I?
I think you are thinking of Superwoman.
Linda Hamilton?
I don't know. I don't think it was
Linda Hamilton.
All I know is the kid in Terminator 2. What's his name?
Do you know anybody from the Terminator?
He got really fat. Robert Patrick is T-1000.
That's true. All right, we're getting a little off the rails. What Adam said was mostly positive before we got into the body shaming of people who were in Terminator 2.
Come on, man. You better than that.
We thank everyone for listening. Here's to a great 2024. And as always, let's go Clips.
Don't let Robert.
Fireworks.